Welcome everybody to my playthrough of Valheim with no mods and anything like that. So this will be strictly vanilla. But it'll be showing you like what I do to maybe give you ideas on how to first start off. Typically I like to start with being by water, but I didn't end up being able to do that, so I chose just kind of be near where the first boss is, because if you can find abandoned buildings and stuff to be able to just kind of fix them up as a temporary thing is a really good start to get shelter, because then you don't have to worry about gathering so much wood and resources, and you kind of focus on trying to gather food and other items and try to find where you might have berries, mushrooms. Try to find, the biggest thing is to find like beehives, because honey is a good thing for stamina, so that's always a plus. You want to kind of look for those. So if you run into like structures, you'll typically have at least one beehive there, and hopefully it drops the queen bee, and then you can set that up, because I know that's like one of the focuses, and it is good to get kind of near biomes if you can do it. I will normally establish a place to like call home for a little while, and then I try to like outline the island or whatever it is just to see how big it is and how many biomes are in it. So that's always like helpful, because then it gives you an idea of where, you have the meadows, then you're going to go into the Black Forest, and then after that you go into the swamp, and then after that you kind of go into the mountains, and then you make your way into the Mistlands. I've never played in the Mistlands. I've ventured in there in other gameplays and stuff, so that'll be all new. Like, I've only ever beaten up to the boss for the mountains, and everything else is easy. And like for the first boss for the meadows, like that one is very easy. I'm actually going to attempt to try to do a cheese to see if it still works, but I'm not 100% sure if it is. But most of the time you just go in there with a little bit more upgraded like armor, if you can get leather and upgrade it a little bit, or in a bow, and typically like fire arrows, because I know the first boss is weak to fire, so you definitely want to like cover those aspects. But as you see with me going through here is like showing like I go finally get enough resources, make the axe, and as I'm still traveling, it's kind of like the gameplay is more so looking down, but that is just kind of how it goes at the beginning of this, and then it gets a little better once you get a little further into it, because starting off it is definitely like grinding to try to get everything, and you really don't want to be out at night. I can definitely tell you that. You want to spend the time during the day, because at night you'll get mobs and stuff that very easily will kill you. So it's, and then like also too, it'll show that when you find like a certain group of like your berries and things like that, mark it on the map, because down the road it's going to benefit you to know certain locations. And even like once you get further in, and we'll explain it about with marking like the different caves and stuff like that, we'll talk about that later once we make it to that. So really right now it is focus on getting as fast to the boss as what I do for the meadows, and defeating that, because then that gives you the pickaxe you need to then get into the Black Forest. So that's like the biggest thing that you need to focus on, in my opinion. I know some other people that play this have different routes that they go and how they do it, and they kind of prep. I get it, you can prep a little bit more to where then the first boss is easy, and then once you get into the Black Forest, then it becomes easier. But like the big thing is I focus on trying to hunt boars to get the leather in their meat and stuff like that, and then also like deer, because you end up needing 3 deer head trophies to be able to summon the first boss. So we'll go over a little bit more on how to do that in the next video, because the next video that I will have will show me fighting that boss. So it's kind of a little bit of an entertainment, but right now the focus is like here you see that I found a little village, so this is definitely where I'm going to set up, as you can see. And there's also like boar that spawn around here, so that's always a benefit to have around. So I see, that's why I'm scoping to see if there's anything else out, and then I go and do that, because that also I believe was like a 1-star, and they tend, yeah, it's a 1-star, so it'll tend to hit you pretty hard. And you'll see that here in a little bit that I struggled for sure trying to get that. That boar actually almost ends up killing me. But here I start establishing to where I want to get a workbench down. I want to repair all of this and try to get as much of shelter as I can to then get the bed down and things like that. Like, because you definitely, this is my opinion, the fastest way to get established quick to where you don't have to focus on chopping down trees or going around looking on the ground and things like that. And then also here I have established that I'm very close to the mountains, which is not that beneficial right now, but it is later, to where if you get strong enough you can then add it. I mean, go and get like hunt the wolves and try to draw them in one by one, and because then that's a good source of meat to get, and then eventually you can get the cape that you need to where then you don't have to worry about trying to get the meads and stuff, which that's way down the road. So, but here, as you see, like, I'm just trying to like figure out what I need to craft. Like, I was focusing on getting, like, figuring out the bow, because that's what I'm wanting to use in the first boss fight, because that's typically range is pretty easy, fire arrows and that. And plus, I think of head when you go into the Black Forest is the fire arrows are good to have against like the trolls, because the troll armor is a really good one to get, just because when you're moving around it gives you that, when you have the whole set, that plus on the being sneaky, because and then you're going in there to mine and everything. But yeah, here it's like looking at that, I don't know why I ended up making another torch. I wasn't paying attention that, you know, you start off with one. So it's just, you know, now I'm going through and I'm checking to see what's in all these houses. And typically too, like eventually, like I'll start tearing them down just because it's an easy way to get resources, as you see here. Like, it's like you don't have to chop anything. You literally, as long as a workbench is near, you can just destroy this and you get the resources back. So, and it'll open up areas, and then, you know, and that's another thing to know if you haven't played this before, is the workbench can be out in the open. You only have to have it covered if you're trying to like repair your stuff or craft. So as long as you have one within the distance, you know, that's pretty good. And seeing, as you see here, I am trying to hunt the boars, and that's the 1-star that literally, as you can see, is, yeah, almost killed me. They hit, and plus it's, I shouldn't be trying to kill it, because I should try to pin it, because then that's a good thing to then try to tame and then be able to start, because then if you can get a second one, that's another 1-star, then that's a pretty good like farming thing to have at the beginning for meat and resources. So here it's just, you know, going through, yep, right there I'm wondering why in the hell I have that second torch. But unfortunately at this time, like, you can't destroy anything, so it's kind of just like, so you end up building chests and stuff like that. So right now my focus is now to be able to cook the meat, to where then it gives me the health to be able to survive and all of that. So it's pretty, you know, this is a fun game. You know, it is very slow at the beginning, so bear with me when going through this. Like, I know a little bit about this, I have a decent amount of hours in it, but once it gets into the later, like, I'm not too much. And I have enjoyed, to where this is a little different, to where I've enjoyed certain mods, because there are mods out there for, you know, the quality of life, where you can teleport things like your iron and stuff that's not able during like this gameplay that I'm doing. And you also can like name it and all of that, and I'm sure some of you will. And then later on, like, I'll do a series to where it shows like modded stuff. Like, I have 2 videos on my channel that, but I don't really display that too much. But as you see here, like, I killed the 1-star boar, which I shouldn't have done that. Like, I actually regret doing that. But the deer are a big thing that I'm trying to hunt, mainly for the meat, and then hopefully, you know, you eventually get the leather stuff. So once you upgrade, then it becomes a little bit. And like, this is the best find, is this beehive. So that's like, that's a big thing. And like, I'm sitting here thinking on like what to do, so I'm like, you know, I'll just hop up here and start swinging at it. And as you can see, it is like a truly like epic fail on trying to get it. So I go through the typical easy way, is place a workbench, That's seeing you go out, and they don't really do too much damage to you, but yeah, you go out, place the workbench, and then you just start destroying the structure, and then it just falls. You know, and that's what I'm going to show you here, is because that's like one of the easiest way. Plus you get the resources from the wood that you destroy, and you're not having to cut down trees like this because I don't have enough resources. So it's things you just learn through it, and it's, you know, pretty much how this goes. Is it's the beginning of this first video is the grind on doing this, like trying to get prepared. Like that's essentially ultimately like what you do, is you're just trying to get established to be able to make it through like your first couple nights of being pretty easy. Like my goal is with the boss within the first like 4 nights, 5 days, I guess you could say, I'm wanting to fight it and defeat it, because then it allows me to move into the Black Forest, which is where you can get your copper, and then you can get the Certling cores and stuff like that to then, you know, smelting, make coal. Like that's when the game starts picking up and you get the better armor and the gear and things like that. So that's essentially what it is. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I hope you stick around to see the next one, because this is definitely a fun game I enjoy playing, and over time I will be making more content of probably different games. So, you know, like always, please subscribe, like, please leave in the comments anything that I can improve on, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.